Why is it that we seem to be witnessing a dramatic increase in autism cases worldwide? This question is not just a whisper in the wind, but a pressing concern that echoes across the globe. The rise in autism cases is a phenomenon that's been observed in recent years, marking an urgent need to understand why this is happening. Are we facing a global health crisis? Or is there something else at play? The answer is not black and white, but a spectrum of colors, much like the autism spectrum itself. It's crucial to delve into various factors that may be contributing to this increase. Could it be the hidden secrets in our genes, or the invisible threats in our environment? Perhaps it's the changes in how we diagnose autism that's painting a different picture? Understanding these aspects is not just about numbers and statistics, but about real lives and real futures. Let's delve deeper into the past to better understand this complex issue. How has our understanding of autism evolved over time? Delving into the annals of history, we see that autism, as a term and concept, has undergone a sea change. The word autism, derived from the Greek autos meaning self, was first coined in 1911 by Swiss psychiatrist Eugen Bleuler. He used it to describe a group of symptoms of schizophrenia, where patients were removed from social interactions, living in their own world. Fast forward to the 1940s, two trailblazing researchers, Leo Kanner and Hans Asperger, working independently, began to define autism as a separate condition. Kanner focused on children who showed a marked lack of interest in others, while Asperger studied a group of kids who had difficulties with social interaction but possessed unique abilities. This laid the foundation for our understanding of the autism spectrum. As we moved into the late 20th century, the perception of autism shifted. It was no longer seen as a form of childhood schizophrenia, but a neurodevelopmental disorder with a spectrum of symptoms. Treatment methods also evolved, from a focus on behavior modification in the mid-20th century to a more comprehensive approach today that includes speech and occupational therapy and social skills training. In the 21st century, we've seen an emphasis on understanding and embracing neurodiversity, acknowledging that autistic individuals have unique strengths and abilities that should be celebrated. Understanding the past helps us to navigate the present, but what role does our genetic makeup play in autism? To what extent is autism determined by our genes? This question has intrigued scientists for a long time now, and research suggests that genes indeed play a significant role. Autism is highly heritable, meaning it tends to run in families. Studies involving identical twins who share the same genetic makeup have shown that if one twin has autism, the other is likely to have it too. This pattern is less common in non-identical twins or siblings, indicating a strong genetic influence. But it's not just a single autism gene we're talking about here. Researchers have identified hundreds of genes that may increase the risk of autism. Some of these genes are involved in brain development or communication between brain cells, while others influence how brain cells form connections. It's like piecing together a complex genetic jigsaw puzzle, yet there's more to it than just genes. Even identical twins who share the same genes don't always both have autism. This tells us that other factors are at play too. Furthermore, the role of spontaneous or de novo mutations is also being explored. These are genetic changes that occur spontaneously in an egg or sperm cell, or just after fertilization, and can influence the development of autism. So while genetics play a crucial role in autism, they don't tell the whole story. They're just pieces of this complex puzzle. Our genes are only part of the story. What about the world around us? Can our environment put us at risk for autism? Now, that's a question that has been stirring the pot in scientific and medical communities for years. Various studies have suggested that certain environmental factors could potentially trigger the development of autism. Let's delve a bit deeper into these. One such trigger could be prenatal exposure to certain drugs. Some research has pointed towards a link between the use of specific medications during pregnancy and an increased risk of autism in the offspring. Another environmental factor that has been under the microscope is exposure to pollutants. There's evidence to suggest that exposure to certain environmental toxins, such as heavy metals and pesticides, during the early stages of life, could potentially contribute to the development of autism. Maternal health conditions during pregnancy have also been associated with an increased risk of autism. Conditions like diabetes, obesity, and hypertension, if present during pregnancy, could potentially affect the neurological development of the fetus, thus increasing the risk of autism. The implications of these findings are far-reaching, but it's important to understand that while these environmental factors may contribute to the risk of autism, they do not cause autism on their own. They are just pieces of a much larger puzzle, intertwining with genetic factors and other influences to create a complex picture of autism's origins. Our environment certainly plays a part, but what about the way we diagnose autism? Could that be influencing the numbers? Has the way we diagnose autism changed over time? Now that's a question worth pondering. The diagnostic criteria for autism have indeed evolved significantly over the decades. In the mid-20th century, autism was perceived as a rare, severe disorder. It was often misdiagnosed or overlooked. Fast forward to today, and we see a much broader understanding of autism. It's no longer seen as just a singular condition, but a spectrum of disorders with varying degrees of severity and manifestation. This shift is largely due to the changes in diagnostic manuals. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM, which is the Bible of psychiatry, has expanded its definition of autism over the years. For instance, in the 80s, the DSM-3 recognized infantile autism, a narrow category that left out many children on the spectrum. However, by the time the DSM-5 rolled out in 2013, it introduced the term Autism Spectrum Disorder, covering a wider range of symptoms and behaviors. There's also been a surge in awareness and understanding of autism among medical professionals and the general public. This increased awareness has led to better identification of symptoms and, consequently, more diagnoses. So, could these changes in diagnostic criteria and awareness be contributing to the perceived increase in autism cases? Quite possibly. Changes in diagnostics help to explain the increase, but there's another perspective to consider: the neurodiversity movement. Could the increase in autism cases be a sign of progress rather than a problem? Let's take a moment to shift our lens and consider the neurodiversity perspective. This movement is a fresh take on autism, viewing it not as a disorder, but as a natural variation in human brains. Like different languages or cultures, neurodiversity is part of what makes us all unique. From this viewpoint, autism is a different way of experiencing the world, not a condition to be cured or eradicated. It's akin to how some people are introverted while others are extroverted. Neither is inherently better or worse, they're just different ways of being. By embracing this perspective, we're encouraged to value and respect these differences, rather than trying to suppress or change them. This shift in understanding has led to more individuals being diagnosed, as we've broadened our definition of what's considered normal. So, when we're talking about an increase in autism cases, we could be witnessing a society that's becoming more accepting and inclusive of neurodiversity. We're not necessarily seeing more people with autism, but rather we're recognizing and celebrating these individuals more than ever before. This perspective doesn't dismiss the challenges that come with autism, but it emphasizes the importance of support, acceptance, and understanding. The neurodiversity perspective is certainly thought-provoking, but what does the latest research tell us? Let's delve deeper into that in our next segment. What have recent studies uncovered about the complex world of autism? The field of autism research is bustling with new findings that are reshaping our understanding of this condition. One of the most promising areas is early intervention. Studies are showing that early, intensive behavioral therapy can significantly improve outcomes for many children with autism. This research not only highlights the importance of early diagnosis, but also suggests that the right interventions can make a meaningful difference. Next, let's turn to brain imaging. Cutting-edge technologies are allowing researchers to peer into the autistic brain like never before. They're discovering unusual patterns of connectivity and activity, offering new insights into how autism manifests in the brain. This could potentially lead to novel diagnostic tools and treatments down the line. When it comes to potential therapies, scientists are exploring everything from stem cell treatments to targeted pharmaceuticals. While these therapies are still in their infancy, they offer a glimmer of hope for future treatment options. And let's not forget that research isn't just about finding a cure. It's also about better understanding autism prevalence. The more we learn about the genetic and environmental factors that contribute to autism, the better we can understand why autism rates seem to be increasing. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of autism, one thing is clear. Our understanding is ever evolving, and every new discovery brings us one step closer to a clearer picture. Now that we've talked about the factors behind the increase in autism cases, it's time to think about how this knowledge can make a difference in your life and your family's life. Do these insights change the way you view autism? Have you ever considered how these factors might be present in your community or even in your own family? Remember, understanding the causes and contributing factors is essential for providing the best possible support to people with autism. How can you use this knowledge to create a more inclusive and understanding environment? And most importantly, how can you continue learning and adapting to offer the best possible support? If you enjoyed this content and want to keep learning about how to improve the health and well-being of children with autism, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. And don't miss our next video, Top 10 Superfoods for Autistic Kids Boosting Health and Wellness. It can help you understand how certain foods can benefit your child's health and well-being. So, are you ready to take the next step? Let's go!